Okay, that's a different story, but very relevant to this episode. We're 5 episodes into Shaka Ilembe season 1. Let's jump straight into it. In this episode, the lovebirds survive. kaSenzangakhona finally does what's right. We get a front row seat to Queen Ndombazi's witchcraft, and the creature is discovered and captured. It's a bit of a different setup today, and that's because I am at Machauke Lodge in Lephalale. Keep a lookout on the channel for the video. I will be doing a tour of the place. But for now, back to the review. Episode 5 begins off the back of the birth of Shaka and the drought that is still ravaging the Ekudunkomo kingdom. And this drought threatens the strength of the Ekudunkomo kingdom because there are some people who are choosing to pledge their allegiance to other kingdoms because of this hunger. It doesn't help that Queen Ndombazi and her supposed witchcraft is being suspected of causing the drought. So Ndombazi resorts to drastic measures to make sure that this drought is ended. The way that this episode is produced and edited provides us with a contrast between the Ekudunkomo kingdom and the KwaNobamba kingdom, which tie into a central theme, the theme of the promise fulfilled. In Ekudunkomo, Queen Ndombazi has made a promise to bring back the rain and end the drought. While over in the KwaNobamba kingdom, kaSenzangakhona made a promise to honor Nandi and make KwaNobamba a home for her and Shaka. We're then taken on a journey to have the promise fulfilled, where on the one hand, the promise brings about death, grief, and sadness, and on the other hand, the promise brings about unity, joy, and happiness. But in both cases, the promise ends up becoming fulfilled. One notable mention in this episode, and for the entire season so far, in fact, is the costume and the wardrobe design. I wasn't really paying attention to it in the beginning because, I knew back in the day people were walking around half naked with their breasts exposed and animal skin coverings on their lower bodies. But Nandi's wedding attire in this episode absolutely commanded my attention. That headpiece with the feathers, the woven breast piece, the beadwork, the colors, the craftsmanship on the show, on the clothes is so amazing. And look at these pictures. The costumes in this series closely resemble what people actually used to wear in those times, around the 1700s. And if you're wondering how people had pictures back in the day, I was asking myself the same question. It actually turns out that the camera was invented in the early 1800s. And the very first picture was taken in 1826. So it's quite possible that the camera made its way down to Southern Africa to take these pictures of the Zulu people in that time. Another thing I noticed from these pictures is the dwelling homes that they had and how accurately depicted they are inside of Shaka Ilembe. So the set design as well, the crew on this show has done an amazing job and has managed to accurately resemble the time that this show has been set in. While Queen Ndombazi is out there doing her thing, the creature in the mountains is discovered and captured. Only it's not a creature, but it is the disfigured older brother of Zwide, whose wish is just to join his people and live amongst them as their equal. Being in a position today where we can better understand disabled people, it was quite heartbreaking to see what Zwite's older brother had to live through, being treated like a monster. The episode doesn't end on much of a cliffhanger, but there have been little breadcrumbs left in episode 5 that I think will be further developed in the following episodes. One of which is the teasing of another kingdom, those guys with the dreads. So it'll be interesting to find out more about them and their kingdom, and also to see the story of Godongwana develop. Balega is also traveling north to go to this healer up there. I think she also mentioned it as well in earlier episodes where she mentioned that she needs to go to this healer to go and increase or strengthen her powers. So it'll be interesting to see that story develop as well. I'm also not quite sure if Zwide is actually accepting his brother and accepting that his mother's a witch because of the way the episode ended. Is this now the new reign of the Ekudunkomo kingdom? Now here's the thing about kaSenzangakhona and Nandi's marriage. Nandi's not the first wife, and traditionally the first son from the first wife becomes the king. And Nandi seems set on Shaka being king. We see this in the dialogue at the beginning of the episode when she speaks to baby Shaka. Now, we know Nandi to be outspoken and rebellious, so this predicament of Shaka not being the first son from the first wife could potentially see a clash where Nandi tries to secure Shaka's claim to the throne. So I think there's still quite a bit in store still for us in the next 7 episodes, and I am still here excited to see how everything unfolds. So let's meet again next week for the review of episode 6. I will see you guys right here. And let's chat on Twitter on Sunday when the episode is. Until then, goodbye.